Thank you very much for the nice introduction, Joan, and welcome and good morning, everyone. So the last panel before the break. I better make it interesting, right? So, let's start with a thought experiment. Imagine that on your phone, suddenly there's a new button or a new app with a button. And by pushing that button, you would ensure a bright and prosperous future for your children. Would you push that button? Well, I guess of course you would, as would anyone else in the world. Regrettably, there is no magic button. But there are things we can do to ensure a bright and prosperous future. My goal today is to show why we need to leverage innovation and technology to boost future growth. I will structure my argument along 3 steps. First, why innovation is necessary for growth and prosperity. Second, why Europe is losing ground. And finally, why and how we need to leverage technology to boost prosperity and ensure a bright future. So, let's start by looking at innovation. Everyone is talking about innovation, and this is why. We see here on the x-axis the innovation score for each country, and on the y-axis the country's GDP per capita. And technically speaking, you could say that the capability of a country to innovate is an essential engine of growth and prosperity. There's a clear correlation between the 2 variables, which, by the way, can also be seen if we just look at the countries in the Southeast European region. Now, in more plain English, you could also say innovation improves our lives. It makes our lives better in terms of more education, better healthcare, higher quality of life. And how does that work? It works because innovation boosts productivity. So when we are innovative, we can produce more value in the same amount of time. This sounds very technical, but just think of farming as an example. By the mid of last century, a typical European farmer could produce enough food for 10 people. Nowadays, this number is at 140 people. And this, of course, has freed up a lot of additional resources that can be put to better use. People who used to labor on the fields previously can now, for example, develop autonomous tractors to further boost productivity in farming. So, to make a long story short, if we want to ensure a bright future and boost prosperity, we need to boost productivity. Which brings me to my second argument. Europe is losing ground when it comes to productivity. Let's have a look at the data. Now, this chart is rather full of data, so I want you to focus on 3 observations. First of all, only Germany and France can keep up to the US when it comes to productivity in absolute terms. Second, the countries in Southeast Europe have lower productivity, especially as compared to the US. But, the third point, look at the right-hand numbers. The productivity growth, especially in Romania, has been tremendous over the past years, which is a huge success. So, where's the problem? The problem is that this huge growth in productivity that we see here in the region does not translate to Europe as a whole. So what you see here is the big picture, so to say. We here look at productivity growth in the US versus the major European economies. Until 1995, European companies have been growing their productivity much faster than US companies. But since 1995, productivity growth in Europe is lagging that of the US. Every year we are losing ground. And this is a problem for two reasons. First one, we heard it yesterday evening. The world around us is becoming more hostile and more trade barriers are rising. And at the same time, Europe is becoming less competitive. This will make it very hard to secure future growth. And the second challenge, we are facing demographic change. Our population in working age is shrinking every year. By producing more output with the same input, we can mitigate that problem. But with that low productivity growth, we are instead exacerbating the problem. And what is the reason for this picture? Why is Europe lagging the US? The root cause for that is that European companies failed to reap the full potential of digital technology. The European Central Bank speaks of Europe's lost IT revolution. And why has Europe lost this revolution? First of all, Europe lacks human capital, or more precisely, digital skills. Second, Europe lacks competition. Fewer new companies entering the market, more old companies staying in the market. Which also sounds familiar, what we just heard on the previous panels. And third, Europe lacks capital to scale up new companies that are more productive than the old ones. But luckily, there's no rule that says that the situation has to stay like this. And of course, we should do everything possible to change this situation. So what should Europe do? Basically, Europe should increase competition in its market by getting rid of red tape that stifles competition, not only at the European level, but also at the local and nation-state level. Furthermore, we need more capital to allow our companies to grow. That requires a much deeper and much more unified capital market across the Union. And finally, human capital, digital skills. This is not only about the right policy decisions, but this is about everyone in this room, about everyone here. Are we making the best use of technology? Are we in our companies, in our organizations, in our daily lives, pushing for the use of data, of software, of new processes to boost our output with less input? This is the task that lies ahead of us. Remember, there is no magic button. Building a better future is on us. And if we think again, our main competitor, the US, they have been founded on a clear principle: the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This has always been the best foundation for growth and prosperity, and it is our duty to make use of these rights. It's our job to put technology to its best use to boost productivity and ensure a bright future for our children and for ourselves. And to be honest, I'm quite optimistic that we will succeed, because if the path ahead of us is clear, what shall stop us? Thank you very much.